Hello and welcome to today's math lesson. Today we are going to be talking about properties of real numbers. So the three properties that we're going to talk about are commutative, associative, and distributive. So your learning target for today is I can use the commutative, the associative, and the distributive properties to simplify expressions. All right, what is the commutative property? The commutative property switches order. SWI, switches order. Okay, so those are the quick things that I use for the commutative property. So if something says x plus 2, that is the same thing as switching the order of the numbers and writing it 2 plus x. So if we take 3 times 5, that is the same thing as saying 5 times 3. So the order of the numbers or letters switched, and it works for addition and multiplication. It works for addition and multiplication. So can we do that in subtracting? So can we switch the order for subtracting? Does this work when you subtract? Is 10 minus 7 the same thing as 7 minus 10? And the answer is no. So subtraction is not commutative. But when we are adding things together, we can add them in any order. So if we take 6 plus 5, that's the same thing as taking 5 plus 6, switching the order. All right, our second property that we're going to look at is the associative property. And we talk about groupings or parentheses when we're talking about the associative groupings. So if I take 1 plus 3 plus 5, and I add 1 plus 3 together, but then I leave it as 1 plus 3 plus 5, but I want to group 3 and 5 together. So I grouped different things. See, the numbers are in the same order, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. But the order of them stayed the same, but I grouped them different. So 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 5 is 9. And in this one says I need to take 3 plus 5, which is 8, and 1 plus 8 is 9. So even though I grouped them different, they still come out to be the same when we're using addition. Okay, now how does that work for multiplying? If I take 2 times 3 times 5, so when I group together 2 times 3, is that the same thing as taking 2 times 3 times 5? So see, the order is the same, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5. But can I group them different? Well, 2 times 3 is 6, times 5 is 30. Do I get the same thing on the other side? So 3 times 5 is what they're telling me I have to do first, is 15. And 2 times 15 is 30. So I can group them whether I'm doing addition or multiplication. So it changes the grouping of things. And the distributive property is something that we have done before. We just did it when we were doing point slope form. So we'd have a number on the outside, and then we had x minus 5. So the distributive property says I'm going to take 3 times x, and then I'm going to add to it 3 times a negative 5. So that I have 3x plus a negative 15. Or you could just write 3x minus 15. Okay, I can also do that with numbers. So if I take 2 times 90 plus 6, I can take 90. Whoops, that's not a 90, that's a 2. I can take 2 times 90 plus 2 times 6. So I have 180 plus 12, so 192. So when we're distributing or bringing something in to all parts. All right, let's see if we can put those together here. So identifying the associative, the commutative, or the distributive property. So this one says 7 plus 6, and this one's 6 plus 7. So we switched the order, so this is commutative. Okay, you should really pause the video and give these a try and see if you can do them, and then replay it so you can check your answers. All right, we've got 5AB, 5AB, so the order is the same, but now what happened? They grouped the A and B, and now we have the 5 and the A. So this one is the associative property. All right, what do we have here? 6, 4, 2, 6, 4, 2. Okay, the order stayed the same, but we have 6 and 4, and this one we have 4 and 2. So this one is also the associative property. All right, 27 plus 3, and this one goes 3 plus 27. So they switched the order. This one is commutative. All right, stop the video, and then make sure you guys give these a try and see if you can do them, and then replay the video. All right, 10 and then 2 plus 3. So now we have 10 times 2. So we multiplied these together, and then we multiplied these together. This is your distributive property. 5mn, 5mn. So the order stayed the same. So this is the associative because we grouped them different. All right, AB, BA. What happened? AB, BA. The order changed. So this is commutative. All right, 3x, y, z. 3x, y, z. Okay, stayed in the same order. This one is grouped y and z. This one's the other grouping. So this one is the associative because we are switching our groupings. All right, the next thing I want to do is just to practice some distributive properties. So right now, just stop the video and you practice these 3 problems. Or maybe you want to watch the first one and then practice the second 2. So we're going to distribute 8 times n is 8n, and 8 times 4 is 32. So that's using your distributive property. All right, stop and try the next 2, and then resume your video. All right, 3 times 4y. 3 times 4 is 12. Oh, and that's a w, not a y. And then we have to multiply 3 times 7 is 21. All right, and the last one, the green problem here, we're going to take negative 6 times 5x. So we have negative 30x. And then we have to take negative 6 times negative 2. Don't forget about that sign. So we have negative 6 times negative 2 is a positive 12. All right, that is the distributive property. The last thing that we're going to cover today is combining like terms. So what is a term? Terms are different things that we can add together. So when we take 1 plus 5, there are 2 terms, 2 constants here, a 1 and a 5, and we can combine them because they are both constants to get 6. Here we've got 2x plus 5. Those are 2 terms, but we cannot combine them because they are not like. So what makes something be a like term? It has to have the same variable with the same exponent. So the first number 2 has an x, but the 5 doesn't have an x, so they are not like terms. Whereas the first one, when I did 1 plus 5, they are both constants. Constants are basically just plain old numbers. Okay, but math people like to call them a fancy term and call them constants. So if we look here, we've got 4x minus 3x plus 2. So this has an x, This has an x. They are like terms, so we can combine them by doing the operation that they tell us. So 4x minus 3x is 1x, and then we still have our plus 2. Now, mathematicians don't like to write this 1 in front, so they're just going to write x plus 2. And this is two terms. The x is a term, and the 2 is a term. All right, coefficient. When we're combining like terms, what we do is we keep the bases the same, but we combine the coefficients. So let's look in purple here. We've got x squared and a plus 3x. This is an x squared and this is an x. They are not like terms. Okay, not like terms. We cannot combine them. Now, talking about a coefficient, so if you don't see a coefficient, so look at this x squared. Do they have the number in front? They don't, so it's probably a 1. They mean 1x squared. And now because these pink terms are different, this does not have the exponent of a 2 up here. They are not like terms, so we cannot combine these. All right, let's practice a couple different combining like terms. All right, here it looks like we have a P, and a Q. So our two P's we can combine. So we're going to combine these two. So 75P minus 25P, we keep the P, and we do the math with the coefficients. So 75 minus 25 is 50P. And then you have to keep your 12Q. All right, and the next one, the purple one, looks like we have an a squared and an a squared and an a. Okay, these first two are what we would call like terms, but just the a is not because it doesn't have that squared with it. So I keep the a squared, and now you do 72 plus 12, and we get 84. So we have 84 a squareds. And then we have to keep our negative 25a. All right, this one is going to have the distributive property and then some like terms. So we've got 9 times a is 9a. And we have 9 times 3 is 27. And then we can't forget about this negative 4 at the end. So do we have any like terms? Well, these are both constants, so we can combine them. So keep your 9a, and 27 minus 4 is plus 23. So when we're done, we end up with two terms, 9a plus 23. All right, the second problem here in black, it looks like we have the distributive property here. So what I'm going to focus on first is just this part, okay? I'm going to do this part first and do my distributive property. So I'm going to keep my 6c, and I'm going to take negative 4 times 2c. Don't forget about this sign. So it's negative 8c. And then I have to distribute the negative 4 to the 3. So negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. So right now we have 3 terms, but can I simplify this? Are there any like terms? Well, this has a C and this has a C. So these two guys are like terms. So we keep our C and do our math. 6 minus 8 is a negative 2. So we have negative 2c, and don't forget about your constant, the negative 12. So we end up with two terms, negative 2c minus 12. All right, it is now time for your homework. So you're going to be doing some problems on reviewing those properties of commutative, associative, and we've been practicing the distributive property. And then you're going to do a couple distributive problems and then some combining like terms. Good luck.